whether we're talking about extracurricular activities, field trips, travel out of state, and the like. So I will cover those very, very quickly and then go on to some additional announcements since. So we maintain the policy that we declared earlier in the week that all out-of-county travel that would be sponsored by the school system is for all students and employees who otherwise would be engaged in professional development activities or attendance at conferences. Travel within the state or within the county, specific to field trips, is being looked at on a case-by-case basis. I want to be clear about that. In-county field trips and in a much selected basis, travel to certain areas in the state are being looked at on a case-by-case basis, even though we have been now in a position of negating or disapproving most of the existing requests for state beyond Miami-Dade. We are at this point not canceling sports activities, extracurricular activities, or club activities associated directly with schools. We feel that it sends a disconnected message to our community of learners, parents, and students if we are maintaining our school system open but simultaneously canceling activities directly connected to schools. And since I'm on that topic, I want to be clear about one thing. Contrary to a number of the rumors that have circulated across the community since early morning today, our school system is active and ongoing. There is no cessation of teaching and learning, and at this point we do not envision and have no reason to shut down a single classroom, school, collection of schools, or district as a whole. There is active, ongoing teaching and learning happening at over 500 schools throughout Miami-Dade. At this point, I can also confirm that there isn't a single confirmed case or presumptive case of COVID-19 directly impacting an employee or a student. On the basis of that, we are committed to maintaining a forceful presence in our community by delivering high-quality education to our children. By the way, in speaking with a lot of parents, a lot of members of the private sector community, even individuals at the government level, including Jackson Memorial, we recognize the impact that closing our school system would have on a greater community at all levels, in terms of burden on the parents, impact to the workforce in a number of public and private sector institutions without a reasonable foundation to do so at this point. So I want to reemphasize, our school system is open, teaching and learning is happening, and we have no plans at this point to change that. What we have done, obviously, and we announced this earlier this week, recognizing that the rumor mill probably would accelerate with time, is we have created a number of hotlines and websites to disseminate information, but also to eliminate the rumors as they occur. So I would recommend that everyone who is interested, if they hear a rumor, consult with our hotline at 305-995-3000 or direct your attention to the school district's official COVID-19 website, which is covid19.dadeschools.net. It's been up and running this entire week. If you haven't, you can actually take a tour of our Active Command Center. I can tell you that since yesterday to today, the number of calls has basically tripled. We are fielding about 3 times as many calls as we were fielding yesterday. The vast majority of those calls dealing with rumors. Somebody heard something that in the end is not true or accurate. The hotline is open every single day from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. and then it goes into a recorded mode where the calls are directed on an emergency basis directly to the local health department. We continue to dedicate additional resources to the cleaning of schools, school sites, and buses. Sanitization cycles have increased, and then we're adding additional cycles on a case-by-case as requested by principals or as declared by teachers or even students. In fact, we're utilizing social media information that comes to us from teachers or students, in addition to principal reports, to engage in rapid response at the school level. We announced earlier, and I am restating once again, that as far as supplies and equipment, we are overstocked. We anticipated this need and have amassed at least 90 to 120 days over and above our regular consumption of cleaning, sanitization products and equipment for our school system. We have what we need. In addition to that, we have secured commitments from county government for additional supplies and manpower should we need additional resources to respond to hotspots in our school system. We continue aggressive distribution of supplies to schools. In fact, this week we are re-emphasizing that element and going into next week as well with the distribution of wipes for every single teacher's classroom that can be utilized not only by the custodians but by staff as well. I want to speak a little bit about operations. Beyond the field trips, beyond the in-district, in-state, or out-of-state trips that were scheduled or canceled, I want to talk a little bit about extracurricular activities. I know there's a degree of anxiety out there, but I want to reemphasize athletic activities, club activities are part of the fabric of public education. If you cut them out, we're sending a bifurcated message about what we believe constitutes a danger to students. I don't think that having students out there in a track is any more dangerous than having students in a classroom. Therefore, going into next week, it's business as usual. All athletic activities, extracurricular, club activities will resume. What we are bringing to a halt at this point is the students' participation in internships. Internships represent educational opportunities for students outside of school, where they may go to a court system, where they may go to a hospital to participate in a work environment that complements what they learn in school. Due to very obvious additional risks, we are bringing to a halt at this point students' participation in internships. We're also, as part of our risk assessment, when we look at activities into the foreseeable future, whether they are musical activities, celebration activities, recognition activities, we're looking at three things: size of crowd, number one, how students would get to those activities, number two, and number three, whether or not that activity is being held in a place that has demonstrated to us has the capacity to sanitize and prepare the venue for the activity that would take place there. And that is exactly the decision tree that we currently follow. We were surprised when earlier this week the state declared that colleges and universities would basically shut down and move their instruction modality to an online approach. Of particular concern to us is the fact that we have 9,000 high school students currently engaged in dual enrollment opportunities. Simply said, these are high school students who are currently enrolled in college courses, some of them at the university itself. Our partners, for example, are FIU. Our partners constitute also Miami-Dade College and others. We have taken measures to reabsorb those students back into our schools and provide access to these college courses from our school sites. Equally important, SAT, the college entrance exam, is scheduled to be administered March 14th. We see no reason at this point to deviate from that plan. Actually, the environment under which students are tested for the SAT, and this is a Saturday administration, which boosts our graduation rates. A lot of students rely on that SAT score not only for college acceptance, but also to reach a concordant score that allows them to graduate high school. Because of its relative importance, we are not postponing it, delaying it, or canceling it. We're proceeding with it as scheduled. Secondly, The venue where these administrations take place is actually very controlled and conditioned. The space separation between students is significantly larger than that which would exist in a traditional classroom environment. I haven't talked about charter schools. We have in excess of 100 charter schools in Miami-Dade. Charter schools are publicly funded but independently managed. Even though they do not have to follow our protocols, we are strongly encouraging principals and operators of charter schools to follow our guidance and our protocols, and in return, we are ready to assist any and all charter school in Miami-Dade with sanitization, pre, during, or post a possible emergency. They are our neighbors, they are our partners, and all students in our community are our concern. We announced this earlier. It is vitally important to reemphasize that all private sector contractors who do work in Miami-Dade County Public Schools, all volunteers and mentors who interact with our students in our schools, shall be held to the same rigid guidelines established by the CDC, the Department of Health, as well as our own school system. So when we talk about self-isolation based on contact, direct or indirect, we expect our private sector partners and volunteers to follow the same guidelines and protocols. We announced earlier this week that we believe we have the best in class, definitely at the state level, perhaps at the national level, model for instructional continuity in the case of an emergency. What that means is we have curated over the past few years not only digital content that's aligned specific to the age of the student, but also aligned to the state standards, in addition to supplemental materials that are also aligned with age and grade of students. We have concentrated those resources through a platform that is personalized and adapted to every single student in our system. That means, in the case of the shutdown of a single classroom, a school, a collection of schools, or the entire system, we can activate these systems and continue online distance learning with every single student in Miami-Dade. We can do this because not only have we invested in these resources, but we have also acquired in excess of 200,000 devices with the opportunity to put these devices in the hands of students via parent contracts and activate online learning should there be a need to do so. In addition to that, we recognize that equitable access to connectivity, internet access, is an issue in many zip codes in our community. We have the capacity to empower families, students, with internet access, relying on our own resources in addition to partnerships with private sector entities. No child should go without an opportunity for learning during times of emergency. We are currently holding hundreds of faculty meetings across Miami-Dade to sensitize our teachers. I am appreciative to the leadership of our teachers union for their level of collaboration in ensuring that these protocols are in place in case of an emergency. In fact, our instructional continuity plan is available for the world to see online at icp.dadeschools.net. The ICP, the Instructional Continuity Plan, has also been disseminated statewide for the use of the Commissioner of Education as well as superintendents across the state. And in fact, we receive requests from a number of districts across the country to access our own resources. In fact, even though we have not activated the Supervised Instructional Continuity Plan, which provides for distance learning opportunity, which is supervised by professionals, we have not activated that supervision, but the resource is already available, for we know that in an abundance of caution and as a matter of personal decision, some parents are keeping children from schools. We do not encourage that. But if they are, please open the gateway to learning to your child and have them access our ICP, our Instructional Continuity Plan, at icp.dateschools.net for a continuity of learning for children. If you have problems with that system, we have a solution for that as well. There is a hotline for the online resources associated with this distance learning, and it can be accessed through 305-995-HELP. So again, the hotline number for all questions, concerns related to COVID-19 is 305-995-3000. However, the hotline for assistance with teaching and learning remotely is 305-995-HELP. We have paid close attention and have made special provisions for the delivery of instructional resources to special needs populations and fragile populations. It is not lost to us that in Homestead and Florida City, we have hundreds of migrant children who live in migrant camps. We have addressed their needs. It is not lost to us that we have 9,000 school-age homeless children in our community, 400 of whom live in shelters. We have addressed their needs. We have literally hundreds of kids in a foster care system. We have addressed their needs. And most importantly to us, students with disabilities. Every one of our resources is ADA compliant. Times like these bring about a great deal of stress and anxiety, not only to children, but also to members of our workforce. That is why we have increased our efforts in providing counseling support, psychological support to both employees, but equally important to children. Employees through our EAP, the Employee Assistance Program. Any employee who may feel anxiety or stress specific to this condition, specific to this emergency, please reach out to EAP for additional support. And the number is 305-995-7111. For any child or family member who may be experiencing anxiety, feel free to contact our mental health hotline at 305-995-7100. Equally important, this is the very first time we are announcing this. A number of our school board members, staff members, did engage in conversations about COVID-19 testing. We are a self-insured school system. The cost of the test should not be a barrier to any employee in our school system. So we are making available to all of our employees, regardless of where they may want to be tested for COVID-19, free coverage with no copay for all employees in Miami-Dade County Public Schools. Last but not least, we cannot do this alone. We rely on partnerships and collaboration with municipalities, with the health department, with the county as an entity, with the state, and I'm thankful to the Commissioner of Education and the Governor for the information and assistance that has been provided. In fact, we wrapped up a telephone conference with the Commissioner of Education and a number of superintendents where we continue to declare our needs, and the state is providing assistance with resources. We've elevated it to a new setting. We believe now is the time to require or request assistance from federal entities. And I thank Senator Rubio and Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart for the conversations of their own initiation that have taken place with me over the past couple of days. We've articulated to them assistance, federal assistance that I believe our school system needs and other school systems will require into the foreseeable future around three specific areas. Number one, we are a poor community. 73.4% of our children live at or below the poverty level. That means they rely on free meals at school to live. We offer free breakfast to every single kid across Miami-Dade at this point. We offer free lunch and reduced price lunch to thousands of children in our school system. In the event that we have to shut down a school or schools, it is critically important that those children and their families not fall into a condition of food insecurity. Therefore, and this has been a priority advocated by this school board, therefore, We have the capacity, the will, and the skill to provide meals to children during a time of emergency, of shutdown. We need the federal government to do its part and relax federal requirements specific to the distribution of this food. This is not a time when we should be counting kids or asking kids for their eligibility. If you go to the inconvenience of coming to school to pick up a bag of food, no questions should be asked. We've done this during hurricane shutdowns, and the process ought to be in place right now in case we shut down any school or the system. We're also asking the federal government for assistance in supporting internet access for students. Long term, we have the capacity to provide it short term, but if this is a lengthy shutdown experienced by this district or other districts, the continuity of access to resources, to teaching and learning should not be compromised because of the socioeconomic status of students and their families. And last but not least, we are keeping track of every single expenditure associated with sanitization, additional equipment, preparation, program development specific to COVID-19 emergency. We expect the federal government to play a role in the reimbursement for those expenditures. We do have a community feeding plan that relies not only on our resources, but also in partnership with a number of entities like FarmShare and the Health Foundation of South Florida. For we know that many instances during times of emergency, it's not just the kids who may go hungry, it's their families as well. So we want to have the ability as a school system to feed the entire family without any hurdles or obstacles. I say once again, we see no reason at this point to shut down a single school in Miami-Dade, much less the school system. There isn't a single confirmed or presumptive case that is directly or indirectly connected to the school system. Next, probably the most normalizing and stabilizing force in any one community is the existence of ongoing education for children. The shutdown of the school system is an action that cannot be taken lightly, for it brings down the entire community with detrimental impacts. We have thus far been able to strike a balance between awareness, education, and prevention side by side with protecting the well-being, the health, safety, and security of our students as well as our workforce. Should a case emerge that compromises the health of any one community in Miami-Dade, then we will take the appropriate and immediate actions as planned. We are not there. I encourage every single member of our community, including our 350,000 brilliant and spirited students who take to social media sometimes with fake information through fake sites, disseminating rumor, innuendo, and fear. Don't do it. There are actually harsh consequences associated with the willful disruption of a learning environment. The only accurate information comes from the school system, from 305-995-3000, www.dadeschools.net, or the dedicated website for COVID-19 information at covid19.dadeschools.net. Any questions? Okay. Fantastic. Estamos una vez más hablando con nuestra comunidad para evitar la propagación de rumores o comentarios o ideas falsas. Estamos listos para continuar a enseñar a nuestros estudiantes. Tenemos una responsabilidad legal y moral de continuar el proceso de enseñanza en todos nuestros planteles escolares. En este momento no existe ningún caso confirmado de COVID-19 aquí en nuestro sistema escolar, directamente impactando a los alumnos o a nuestros empleados. Tenemos todos los recursos necesarios para limpiar y desinfectar nuestros planteles escolares. Hemos entrenado a nuestros trabajadores a nivel escolar en los procesos de limpieza agresiva para contener este tipo de virus. Continuamos el proceso de crear educación a larga distancia para todos nuestros niños. Hemos creado un sitio web con los recursos digitales apropiados para todos los niños de cualquier edad que son usados no solamente por los maestros, por los padres de familia, pero principalmente por nuestros alumnos. Ese sitio estará activo en caso de la oportunidad o la necesidad de cerrar cualquier plantel escolar aquí en nuestro sistema escolar. Tenemos la habilidad de enseñar a nuestros niños con recursos digitales porque tenemos más de 200,000 dispositivos electrónicos, computadores portátiles y tabletas para los niños que podemos poner en las manos de los niños y continuar el proceso de aprendizaje. Estamos en ese momento teniendo conversaciones con los maestros, con los directores de escuela, para ayudarlos a hacer esta conversión en caso de un encierro de escuela. En este momento, como la comunidad ya sabe, hemos cancelado todas las excursiones a nivel internacional. Hemos también cancelado todas las excursiones a nivel nacional fuera del estado de la Florida y estamos evaluando todas las excursiones internas dentro de nuestro condado y a nivel estatal. Y vamos a hacer decisiones sobre ellas de caso a caso. En este momento no estamos alterando, tampoco cancelando actividades deportivas o actividades de clubes estudiantiles en nuestros planteles escolares. Estamos pidiendo a nuestra comunidad de padres que nos ayuden a hablar con los hijos sobre la propagación de rumores, de mentiras, que tienen la posibilidad de influenciar el ambiente escolar en nuestro sistema. No lo aceptamos, lo investigamos y existen consecuencias duras para niños que lo hagan. Reconocemos en nuestra comunidad que el nivel de pobreza es sumamente alto. 73% de nuestros niños viven a un nivel de pobreza. Necesitamos mantener acceso a una nutrición saludable para estos niños. Si tenemos que cerrar una escuela o cerrar el sistema escolar, tenemos la capacidad de continuar a alimentar a nuestros niños, pero necesitamos la ayuda, la colaboración del gobierno federal para hacerlo. Necesitan relajar un poco las reglas federales para continuar a alimentar a nuestros niños. También tenemos enlaces especiales con el condado, con ciudades, pero también con entidades comunitarias, como Health Foundation of South Florida y Farm Store, para alimentar no solamente nuestros niños, pero también sus familias. En ese momento no hay ninguna razón para tener miedo. Hay que preparar, hay que mantenerse informado, obtener información solamente en las redes sociales asociadas a nuestro sistema escolar o al website, el sitio web de nuestro sistema escolar que fue creado para diseminar información sobre esta emergencia. El proceso de enseñanza continúa en nuestro sistema escolar sin ninguna interrupción. Lo vamos a continuar. Somos una fuerza de estabilización en nuestra comunidad. ¿Alguna pregunta?
Is there any update on the results of the survey that was sent out to families to determine who needs laptops?
So very good. So out of in excess of 60,000 respondents at this point, we have reached close to 7,000 children and families declaring a need for a device. Considering the fact that we have over 200,000 ready to go, we are very confident that we have the ability to, in fact, provide them to those children and families in need.
So 60,000 replied, and then how many need?
Close to 7,000.
¿Puede decir en español que los que trabajan en el sistema escolar van a tener acceso gratuito a la vacuna?
Todos los empleados, nuestros colegas del sistema escolar, van a tener acceso gratuito a un examen, un test de COVID-19. Sumamente importante, considerando el costo, y nosotros queremos eliminar cualquier obstáculo que exista entre nuestros colegas, nuestros empleados, y al acceso que deben tener a una salud médica de alta calidad, pero también a este test tan importante en este momento.
En caso de que se dé una emergencia, que todavía no estamos en ese punto, ¿está el sistema escolar preparado para que la educación sea en línea?
Estamos preparados para continuar una educación en línea, larga distancia. Tenemos los recursos digitales